today, 6 years after Tinder was founded in 2012, the app generates more than 1.6 billion swipes per day. Not to mention, last year the company grossed over $800 million and 35% of 18 to 24-year-olds in the app. We'll be exploring the implications of this and seeing whether Tinder is a legitimate way of social interaction. Thanks for watching and enjoy. So the hypothesis we're going to be exploring is, does current technology enhance or detract from human interaction? Personally, I can't get over the screen factor. Having a screen in front of me and that being the mechanism to facilitate me getting to know someone as like the first go of it all is just too much.
Doing this investigation this past week has been one of my favorite things because we started it out with Jack is the most anti-dating app person you could possibly meet. And I think Sunday,
A week ago today.
I was talking to you, maybe it was Saturday I was talking to you, and you said in conversation, never in my life will I ever download a dating app. And one day later, we signed you up for the 3 top dating apps.
Three.
And
yeah.
you had to use them all this week.
Bumble, Hinge, and Tinder, I used like an hour a day.
But why of all your friends, why are you different? Why are you the one that was anti?
Well, I think I just never gave much thought to it. I was like, I don't want to do this. Maybe I will when I'm older. But I just thought like it didn't appeal to me. It didn't attract me as something I like would
You're
do.
a very let them come to you guy.
Yeah.
So it was arrogance. Like
you
can't like when everyone else is on it, you can't be. I just didn't give much thought to it because to not be on it when everyone else is on it is a proactive step. So there must be something deeper than you're just not that into it.
So let's get back to some structure of this whole thing. So first, we're going to run through some data, get some reactions, and then kind of investigate through what Robert and I did this past week, flesh that out a little bit and get into what our different experiences were, how our viewpoints changed. And we have a very special guest today. Her name's Margaret. She's a Washingtonian here to give a woman's perspective on the use of dating apps and maybe talk a little bit how maybe dating was different in college back then before dating apps, stuff like that. Also, the best part is that Margaret, she's not 50. She's not 50. She's not 50.
I am not yet 30.
How old are you, Margaret?
28.
28. There you go.
It's rude to ask a woman. No.
Yes, it is.
But the most interesting part, which I only found out recently, is that Margaret and Sam originally met through a dating app and have since remained close friends. Good enough friends to bring them on this podcast.
Do you both still use, I mean, you probably do. Do you still use dating apps?
I don't.
I do.
After meeting him?
Yeah, someone with...
Honestly, yeah. Sam was kind of like,
Yeah.
I should get rid of it. No.
Margaret's the reason I stayed on them.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. One of the few reasons.
Yeah.
But so just generally, so you all either have had or have currently dating apps, and like, so when you had them, how often would you use them? Did you say, like was it like, oh, guess I'm gonna go on Tinder this weekend, like see what's about to happen, or was it more like a regular?
It's not really planned.
Yeah.
In my calendar.
Yeah, it was more of a like, oh, I'm watching TV. This is a boring show. I guess I'll see who's on Tinder. Oh, these people are very ugly.
Yeah. And I mean, what, I guess, did you use multiple dating apps? What was your favorite? Like, how would you rate your overall experience?
Wait, I want to hear why Sam uses dating apps / when you use them. I think his is very much more for a purpose.
Okay. No, I mean, the reality is, most people use dating apps in the same way they use Instagram. It's like when your brain is checked out in a way that you don't really need to be concentrating, but you're also just trying to fill time. So I think, for example, I reckon Instagram, probably somewhere in Instagram headquarters, they're having the conversation of how do we compete for the attention of people who are using dating apps because they're taking up our space.
Yeah, and dating apps, just like everything else on your phone, are designed to be addictive. So they're just as addictive and just as time wasted.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it, Jack, earlier this week.
We talked about it a lot this week. It was a hot button issue in Georgetown.
Like, when I use them, I will I realized this, and I kind of got worried for myself because I will just like swipe and get a match and then just like keep going. Like I won't.
Right, because
I won't chat with them.
You don't want to talk to the people. You
Yeah.
just want to like get matches.
And Jack said
That's so stupid.
Jack said that's for the what's it called? Like the dopamine rush when you get just the small little. Well, so which really.
So Steer would get
mad at my
he's,
brain.
He's such an amateur, isn't
he? No, he would get mad at me because like he would literally watch me go on Tinder and I would like, which one's the? I still don't know. Swipe right is a good one.
Yeah.
So I would swipe right on like nobody, and he'd be like, "Why? Like it's no fun." I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to talk to these people. Like, and I had to. I don't know. I still am so weirded out by like just like whipping through people's faces. Like that's nuts. I think that's.
Is there any part of you that feels like you're missing out, considering the majority of people are on it?
So I personally, for people in my age bracket, which, as I said earlier, so between 18 and 24 years old, 35% of people who use the internet regularly have a Tinder account. That doesn't mean they're an active Tinder user, but it means they have had an account or have an account.
So that is nowhere near the majority.
No, so it's not near the majority. And also of my personal circles, it's also different. I'm still in college, so I have a network around me in which I feel like I can meet enough people and just generally don't feel like I need it. Robert and I talked about this a little, but I think the hypothetical of, and I'm sure you have a lot to say on this matter, Sam, but you move to a new city, you don't know anybody, the weekend's coming up and you want to figure out something to do. I think that's when dating apps are perfect. You can meet someone to go out with, have a fun.
Well, so that was your test this week, which I think is interesting because it's not just like, oh, what do you think of dating apps as someone that's never used it? Your test was to see if you could use a dating app to make a friendship or to make friends with someone, any relationship, any category, not just like to hook up with someone. And I think that made it a little harder.
Well, I asked 3 different girls on Tinder. Actually, no. Okay, so first, I think it's important to talk about some criteria. I had to download Bumble, Hinge, and Tinder. Each one of them is very different. Before I give my opinions, I want to go around it. Which ones have you had / do you have currently?
I did Tinder and Hinge.
Fair.
And your opinion was?
Tinder was really dumb. Sorry, Sam. Like, obviously, we became friends.
We're here. You're here right now because of Tinder.
Right, we became good friends through it.
That's partly why.
But like,
that's kind of hilarious.
Honestly, everybody, like it was either like I didn't form any friendships with anybody, and there was like nothing else going on. And then
so we're not friends.
No,
are we acquaintances?
any other. There was a qualifier.
Okay.
And then on Hinge, Hinge was totally different. Hinge was like a lot better.
Is Sam the only one you've remained friends with from Tinder?
Yes.
It's a gift. Nah, but I've got a very strong. I've got a very strong opinion on this.
Okay, go. Let's go.
I've got a very strong opinion on this. So, to quote an old military instructor, there are peaks and troughs of these apps. So, Tinder was the first, right? Tinder was the icebreaker that basically took internet dating away from eHarmony being for your parents and for nerds and weird eccentrics.
Okay, you say that. eHarmony accounts for 2% of marriages in the United States.
Okay, but that's for the older population, right?
No, that's true.
But that's used to be the standard. eHarmony was the standard of like what internet dating was, and it had this very bad social stigma that like internet dating was for desperate people or people who were older and being divorced and trying to find a new partner. And then Tinder was the one that broke the ice and took it into the mainstream and made it socially acceptable. And then Bumble came out as like the next big thing because it gave women the power to basically avoid crazy stalker guys who are hitting them up like, when random guys DM girls on Instagram because they like them. And then Hinge basically came out, fucked it, and then I think they got bought by another company and they basically reinvested and made it better. So Tinder,
not completely true.
What do you mean
not
Hinge
completely
fucked
true.
it? Because like I would say Hinge is better because like
no.
The original Hinge, like when Hinge first came out, it was shit.
No, so
and then they basically someone
why
bought
was
it.
It shit?
It just the interface was crap and it just didn't have the catch. And then
let me tell you. So you're right. So Hinge, after 2 years of existence, they had a similar model to Bumble and Tinder, which was swipe centric, for lack of a better word. I can't believe I just said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so then they were like, this isn't working. We need to differentiate ourselves from these other apps rather than follow the norm. They did a complete redesign and rapidly experienced a 30% uptake in users and general feedback. It's super interesting because they've really switched to a more like quantitative model and use tons and tons of data to figure out how things work.
You say that, but they've only just hired their very first data scientist.
Yeah, that's
so
fucking crazy because Hinge is by far like the best of all three.
So they redesigned their app to provide more data. So that was another big thing they did. So on Hinge, for everyone who has not had the pleasure, you don't like.
You say that, but I'm pretty sure it's the only one you're going to keep, isn't it?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I did.
Have you done Hinge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
What are you asking?
Yeah. Oh my
true.
God.
Done them all.
It's very
But
true.
Right.
so
Open to experience.
the two big things that they did that changed them was you have to like a certain part of someone's profile as opposed to just like swiping right or left, which facilitates conversation. And they also added the your turn feature, which is actually a lot online, like written about the influence of the your turn feature, which is kind of hilarious. But
Well, as in like, what? The
So-
studies have shown that being prompted with like a legitimate, for lack of a better term, order actually results
Yes.
in people
Yes.
acting more.
13% reduced stalemates in conversation.
What? Just by saying it's your turn.
Yeah, just by if
Saying
like
your turn.
like when you like someone, you have the option to either say something or hit a button that says it's their turn to talk.
'Cause
And
you
like
did the
it
like
forces
first.
Does that
them-
button exist?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that button.
yeah. It's
All right.
it's pretty hilarious, but
Well, so they're so different, right? Hinge and Tinder are completely different, and it's because, I mean, as you said, Hinge, you'll be presented with. First of all, you have to answer 3 questions, which I mean, you did that 1 week ago. What was
should I
your
read my?
What was your experience choosing? They're hard to choose. That's
They're
like the
hard to
hardest
choose,
part.
and you also can sort your matches. You can have like a thing, even on like the free version, you can say, you can set like height requirements, religion, education.
Height requirements is nuts.
How are they?
Height requirements are very important. I'm just gonna
That's
say.
kind of awesome.
But,
Thanks.
No problem.
As a comfortable 5'10", I take no offense to that.
Oh my God. If
But yeah, so they'll have like, I don't know how many pictures they have on their profile that you see on Hinge, and 3 different questions that they've answered, and you click one of those things, those 10 inputs, and you like can respond to that exact thing.
Yeah.
So rather than just swiping, being like, oh, like, I like what you look like, blah, 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 and there's nothing to go off of, you have 3 different options to strike up a conversation, or, and I've done this, say like, oh my God, like, I've been there before, or from a picture, you can say exactly the picture, rather than like, no one on Tinder would ever be like, oh my God, in your 8th picture, I think I've been to that restaurant. Like, you already sound so creepy.
yeah.
And it
So-
just takes that away.
But also, I just want to say, the thing I absolutely hated about the dating apps is I like could not make my own profile. I hated it so much. I felt so like, I think it's so, I don't know what the right cocky. It's not cocky. It's just like, I just hate the idea that everyone who's on these apps picks the like 8 best photos of themselves and tries to write like answers other people will think are great and then just like presents it for the world. Like I think like trying to sum people up like that is inherently
What? So
flawed.
you hate the idea of lying about who you are, or you hate the idea of boasting about who you are?
Because isn't that what happens when you go on a date anyway?
I guess
you make a point
that's
of
a
like
good point.
looking good. You're trying to be entertaining. It's the exact same thing. You just do it online.
Yeah, but I think also like you can get a read on a person pretty well in person.
So okay, so
I guess that's not like a factual point I can rest my case on, but just it seems kind of not.
You're a BSer.
Yeah,
so in
No.
I don't like
college-
it. I don't like
stop.
it. I'm allowed to
Stop.
not like it.
But that's like literally an amazing point. Is when you go, look at me, when you go on a date with someone, you are presenting like what you think. You're not going to talk about things.
A
that you
study
don't think she'll
found
like.
more than half of dating website users lie on their profile.
But like
Yeah.
don't you also lie on a first date? Like, have you ever gone on a first date and been completely truthful?
There's a huge difference between dressing up for a first date and lying on a profile designed for others to judge you on.
I would completely disagree. Do you disagree, Margaret?
Yeah, I disagree.
I mean,
It's like you've literally just taken the first date and made it virtual, which, you know, like
Yeah.
the number of dates I've gone on where I'm like, oh my God, I love football. I hate football.
this must be pretty good guys if you're lying to them.
They're tall.
You're usually pretty confident about who you are.
Oh,
There we go.
it comes out. I hope there's just like this
That was
huge
so
fight
funny.
between them.
But I'm still here.
That's why you're a friend.
Yeah. Okay. Oh God.
Fair enough. Touche.
Oh.
So.
It's comfy over here in the friend zone.
Oh God.
But Jack, so you're very anti, but at the same time, you said Hinge is the one app that you actually enjoyed the most. So why did you prefer Hinge versus Bumble and Tinder? And would you say that you liking Hinge is the norm amongst your peers at college, or would you say that that is the abnorm?
I think less people are on dating apps than, like, the majority of people. I mean, obviously, 65% of people who use the internet are not on dating apps if 35% are. And I think among our social circles, that number is significantly lower than 35%.
Because college is so, I mean,
It's like,
college is like exactly what you would want if you're trying to just build a social life or
Yeah.
branch out and make new relationships. It
Yeah.
is literally thousands of kids that are your age with like different topics of conversation, like, oh, what are you interested in? What are you majoring in?
So what are there smart kids out there? So Rob, you're obviously one of the guys who is on Tinder despite the fact that you're surrounded by girls 24/7 in a college environment.
don't give them 24/7.
Do you
No
use
way.
Tinder as a force
Yeah.
multiplier? To basically I'm surrounded by them all the time, but now I want to be surrounded by them in both the virtual space and the real space, and I want to basically accelerate
really
how
excited to
quickly I
hear
can
this
get to know them
answer.
and get in front of them by using Tinder in this environment.
Well, like I said, like I don't use Tinder. I'm not messaging people. I almost never will message someone. And if I do,
Why?
I was
use
actually
the apps
looking
then?
through it. Sometimes I'll message. Like sometimes it's fun to like think of something and message. And like for one period of time, actually, I used Tinder to I would like think of funny little puns with like names, and then I would search. I have like 800 matches only because
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Tell us more, stud.
Robert Steer has 800 matches on Tinder.
Okay.
You got special status,
All
don't
right,
you, Rob?
All right. I don't know. I mean, I've traveled a lot, so you get
Okay.
people from all over.
Just keep bragging.
Oh my god.
Okay.
So
no.
yeah, there's different ways, but I also don't I don't message a lot, and I was looking through it. There's a lot of times where if I have messaged, they will message back, and I'm honestly just I just won't respond because I'm kind of lazy, and also like, where are you about to meet someone for the first time?
No. But so you're saying you like them and you use them all the time, but you don't use them for dates.
Like what? Dating apps?
What?
Yeah, dating
Do
apps.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
what?
Dating apps. So you're a regular user of Tinder, but you don't use it to go on dates.
Oh,
You
I
use
don't
it-
know about regular.
Oh, okay.
Oh, come
that's whatever.
I
Okay.
know for a fact that you're a regular.
You don't even, okay.
Okay, let's open up the conversation a little bit because I think it also speaks to like kind of a broader future, I guess, of like social life. Because you guys all believe that it's a very viable option for dating or starting dating, stuff like that. So do you guys think like the future of, this is obviously so absurd, but like once again, you move to a new city and there's an app for you to like make new friends that uses quantitative data to pair you with, because there's one of the worst things I found on this entire endeavor was the Bumble Friends.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Wait, what's Bumble Friends?
It's Bumble to find you friends.
Yeah.
Literally, that is what it is.
Is it co-ed?
I don't know.
Because
I
one
didn't
of
go
my
through it long
favorite
enough.
things
I did not go
was
through it long enough. I couldn't stand it.
It took a lot. It took like 2 hours of back and forth to get Jack just to agree to put the apps on his phone. It took a lot. And he finally agreed. We went through all this stuff. We made the things, and then I clicked on Bumble Friends, and thinking it'd be like
A positive
make
carrot.
friendships with girls, but not like
Trying to hook up with them.
Always trying to hook up. Yeah, exactly. And it was a picture of just someone Jack would not get along with. It was
Craziest
he had
looking guy.
actually like the grossest hat on, and like a huge fish just out in front, holding it up, and that was his profile picture. And it looked like
The first thing I saw,
he
I
was
was
like
like,
right
no,
by
I'm
the
done.
river.
How women feel when they go on dating apps. The number one picture on a guy's profile is him with a fish.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes.
So like, if you don't have a fish in your profile, you automatically like putting yourself to the next stage.
Yes, because
What's
so
the
like,
opposite
that's
of
what
a
we think.
fish?
Note to self.
Yeah.
Note to self. Helpful hints here. But like,
Starts
there's always
changing his
somebody with a
pictures.
fish, or someone has just shot a deer, like even in DC. And you're like, well, I guess you can feed me during the apocalypse, but I'm not seeing that happening
Yeah.
anytime soon. So
Oh,
no,
you never know.
No. Okay, but back to
there's
the.
Trader Joe's. I'll be fine.
Do you guys think that, like, the future is, all this stuff gets put onto various apps that
Absolutely.
are so good at the.
I'm gonna give you an analogy why I think so. I'm gonna steal Elon Musk's analogy for why we're living in a matrix and apply it to dating apps. So Elon Musk basically says, when he grew up, Pong was the video game standard, and now you look at video games and they're so realistic, and the way and the quality of graphics is getting better and better at exponential rate, and therefore, like, it's not very long before we won't be able to tell the difference between real life and the Matrix, right? You apply the same thing to dating. I would say 6 years ago, dating was like online dating was like it was taboo. Now it is very, very common, and then it went through a stage of and then it became normal to use it behind closed doors, and you never do it in public. And then it became normal to do it in public. And then it got to the point that you had generations of people who were meeting on Tinder and getting married, and they'd be embarrassed to admit that they met on Tinder. Now we're in the stage of they're willing to admit that they met on Tinder and they're getting married.
And make it
their wedding hashtag. So it's the
I wouldn't go to the wedding. I'd boycott.
the
I literally
taboo.
would.
The taboo-ness of it is being diluted and diluted and diluted to the point that I think it will become so normal that there is no taboo whatsoever in any aspect, and then probably even go the other way. The door will probably swing the other way where it's actually expected. And meeting, I wouldn't be shocked if meeting a random person in public is considered taboo because you creeper while you're approaching people without having done some pre-game work.
I think
That's so sad.
Agree with that. Because you completely agree with it because, and this is one of these things where as a woman you always get told if a guy comes up to you in a bar, he's going to spike your drink. So you always get told be really, really careful. So when you have a dating app, you have a picture, you have a phone number, you have a whole record of stuff that you can send to your friend to say, this is where I'm going to be, this is who I'm with, this is, if I don't come back by a certain period of time, send this to the cops. And women do this all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
So
That's a good thing. That's awesome.
And so it's actually really good. And then women also are not getting hit on by creepy guys in bars all the time anymore because of, and I'm not sure I'm fully pro dating apps, but as a woman, I know that if I go on a date with somebody, we've both agreed this is what we're going to do. And I don't have somebody coming up to me trying to figure out what my relationship status is.
why are you off dating apps right now?
Because I'm actually in a relationship
From a dating app?
That's good.
from a dating app.
Really?
there you go.
Yeah.
How do you tell people you guys met?
It actually hasn't come up. Well,
Okay.
my friends know.
I
but,
also have
it
to
hasn't
say-
come up with other people.
I also have to say just something I've noticed is maybe a third of girls on Tinder, their bio says how are we going to tell our parents we met or whatever, something
willing
is-
to
that
lie
is a
about how we
thing.
met.
That
what's
is a
going to be
thing.
our story,
and you-
not that we met on
Like
Tinder.
with
And
your
it's
parents.
actually it is honestly it comes up so much. It's so
I can't.
Right, before we
that's
move
why
on, though, I
I'm-
just want to dig into this a little bit deeper. So, is there a regular conversation amongst women of the social relief that the presence of dating apps has given you? Because before going out, there would this constant struggle, for lack of a better term, of I don't want to be hit on by guys. I don't want to be bothered by guys. I just want to go out and hang out with my friends. And now a large percentage of those guys who would be doing that and are instead drunk in the corner on their phone, like drunkenly swiping. So it's kind of taken a large percentage of the predators out of the
Drunkenly
date,
swiping is a
out of the
great
scene.
image.
Like I wouldn't
Is
say
that you
I
guys
wouldn't
talk
say
about that
it's
much?
like a constant conversation, but it does come up occasionally of like, oh my god, it's so much better to do it this way because like you just don't have creepers coming up. I mean, there will always be creepers, but the creeper level has definitely fallen.
I just don't think
That's pretty
a
good.
world in which
So like there are silver linings, but I'm still
yeah, I
I'm
mean
with you.
that's
like,
a
I'm
real
not sure how
that's
I
a
feel
real
about
that's a really good point because if it genuinely does have that effect, then that's very important, obviously. But I just really am almost sad about the fact that perhaps the future of our world is like before you meet someone, you like vet them online, and it's so easy and so consistent that that's how it's always done because like. I don't know. I just really, that like makes me sad that may be where we're headed.
Yeah.
And maybe it's more practical, but I don't know.
Is that because you couldn't meet anyone on a dating app this week?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so touchy about it.
No, but so here's the thing, right? Like I'm a romantic. I completely agree with you in the sense of, I'm a romantic about the idea of walking up to a girl in public and talking to her and getting along and sparking something, right? But at the same time, and I think Rob and I, we had this conversation offline once, which is that, as a guy, this is like in Australia, picking up as a guy is really, really difficult. Like going out to a bar and picking up a girl bar is really, really difficult because of our culture. So I would say that the average guy would go out 20 times and get drunk with his mates before like he actually picks up a girl. We might have one in 20 times. And each time you go out, you might spend $80 to $200. So that's 20 times, $80 to $200.
Wait, I'm sorry. Why are you spending $80 to $200
Yeah.
a night?
Because
to
a
go out?
beer in Australia is like $8 to $10. Because we have
here too, but
yeah.
Right,
why are you
but
buying 20 of them?
Yeah,
Because
mean,
you're trying to pick up
It's a
girls,
fun night
so
with the
you're
guys.
shouting them drinks. I don't know. That's just the fact. Like it just happens that way. And
Whatever,
And when
arbitrary numbers.
And when guys go in Australia, guys usually go out for guys. Like when they go dancing, they dance with other guys. Like they're not like, oh, I want to dance with a girl. It's like, I'm going to dance with my mates and make a complete dick of myself. and have
honestly,
heaps of
women
fun.
appreciate
Yeah, and it's great fun. It's something that should be here.
because like women would love to be able to go dance and not have like the dude come up behind you.
Oh, you're like reverse Colin Fritzl. You're on the wrong continent. You should be in Australia, Margaret.
Who's Colin Fritzl?
Love Actually.
Love Actually. This is just a joke that your generation won't get.
Yeah.
We're
For
dating
our
ourselves
middle-aged
here.
viewers.
Yeah.
Enjoy that one.
Yeah, but like the point is that like you would spend so much money to meet a girl that you actually like, and most guys don't approach random girls on the street in Australia because it's super awkward. But dating apps take you straight to the first date, right? So it's like you rather than having to spend all that money to meet a girl that you then might be able to ask out for a date, instead you just go straight to the first date. So you save thousands of dollars.
What?
And then you get to sit down and have a real life heart-to-heart conversation with someone. So my point is, like, I fully get the opinion that, like, it's kind of sad that we now have to meet through this medium, but this medium is actually resulting in a far higher amount of people sitting down one-on-one with a stranger and having a heart-to-heart 3-hour
I
conversation.
just think it's such a spin zone to say Tinder's saving you thousands of dollars. Like, I get it, but
And like I wouldn't say it's the only way you meet people. Like you still meet people through your friends and like at parties and stuff, but
Sam
it's
also,
just,
sorry.
it's just added another level.
Sam also said it was much harder to get a girl in Australia.
far harder.
yeah.
Well, having said, I think I'm like pretty sure. I try to be objective about it, but I'm also Australian in America, so my experience in
Yeah.
America is a bit warped.
Yeah.
How you were telling me about your first experience getting a house or a place to stay in DC?
Yeah, so this is a bit of a change in topic, but it's something that Rob and I did talk about. Is that the other thing about these apps is that I'm a huge proponent of is that if you at their core, a dating app is just a communication corridor. So if you're viewing a dating app as simply how do I meet someone, as opposed to how do I take advantage of this communication corridor, then you're not really, you're not utilizing the app to its full potential. And, the perfect example of this is that what we talked about was that when I moved to DC, I knew no one here. And I knew that I was coming here for 3 or 4 days because I was in the process of my university application where I had to basically, it was when I knew those 3 or 4 days or that week or two that the professor who'd be approving whether I got into my college or not was looking at the applications. And because I'm not the type of person who leaves things to chance, I decided to jump on a plane and fly to DC to basically take that guy out for coffee. And so if he was going to reject my application, he was going to feel really guilty doing it because he knew who I was. Anyway, so at this point when I made So at this point when I made this decision, I was like in Indonesia. I was living in a small rural village on the floor of this like Indonesian family in the middle of nowhere, and I was learning the language Indonesian. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to get into this I'm going to get into this university because I'm going to make sure that it happens. And this is part of that whole design your life thing. Like take control of what you can to make sure you succeed where you want to succeed. And I bought international Tinder so I could swipe in DC ahead of time. So I'm in this small Indonesian village.
That's so funny.
I'm in this small Indonesian village in Indonesia, and I like barely got internet service, and I'm swiping when I can.
Using all the village's internet service.
He's going to the internet cafe to swipe international Tinder.
Yeah. So I'm like swiping on in DC, you know, like trying to get girls because I knew I was going to be there for 3 nights. So for 3 nights, I set up 3 different dates.
So you were just couch surfing.
For like a bit. Well, no,
And I'm assuming you weren't using the sofa.
It's worse than that. It's worse than that, I must say. Sadly. But no, I was swiping. I set up 3 dates for 3 nights in a row. Get there, get to DC, do what I need to do for the university thing, and then went on the dates with these girls. Had an excellent time. And when I left,
by the way, this is
no.
not
I
me
don't know
at
if
all.
she
I'm
would
not
say
involved in
that.
this.
Yeah.
not an excellent time. Like we went out, had drinks, enjoyed each other's company. Nothing happened, but we became friends. And
Also
then,
not me.
yeah, Margaret was not one of them.
It seems like you become friends with a lot of girls you match with on Tinder.
I do. Why wouldn't you? Anyway, and then when I left, I was like, okay, I'm moving back here in 4 months because I know I'm going to. So I said to all 3 of them, I was like, hey, I'm going to move back. I need somewhere to live. Do you mind talking to your friends and see if anyone has a bed, a place I can move into? And they're like, sure. So all 3 of them went out and started looking for a house for me. And so by the time I arrived back in DC, I had a house organized with a really good group of people in a good part of town.
It's nuts.
And that's how I use
absolutely
Tinder,
nuts.
as a utility as opposed to just a date. It's a communication corridor. And if you utilize it to max capacity,
all of us women love being referred to as
still
utility.
still good friends with them, all 3 of them to today. Because I was completely open and transparent about it, and I didn't try to hide anything.
Well, I think the
But that's a way, this modern technology is amazingly useful if you're, it's only sinister and crap if you try to hide what you're trying to do. But if you're completely open about it, it's fine.
I think the idea, so we're almost out of time. So Robert and I are going to talk a little bit about what we did this week, just to give some more context. So as we said earlier, Sunday, we're sitting in my dorm room, and Robert's like, Jack, like, you have to download all these apps because we're going to do a podcast about it, right? I'm like, huh, nice. Like, no, I'm not. We basically argued for a while. He ended up downloading them all on my phone.
With your permission.
With my permission. I had him make all of my accounts, et cetera, et cetera. And he just said, okay, you're going to use them for a week.
And I also took down your thoughts on how it would go.
Yeah.
Which was that it would be useless.
So my opinion has changed, which goes to show it's worth trying things.
Yeah.
But
shock horror.
Yeah, seriously. But so I do agree with you. It is a great communication channel. I just think
Okay, so how many girls did you match
I asked-
with that? Okay, well, first of all, this whole thing came because of that story.
yeah.
And our objective was to see if you could do that and try and make friendships off of these dating apps,
Yeah.
because they put so much money. Like, how much did Tinder make? How much does Tinder make? It's like
800 million in revenue in 2018.
That's heinous.
Yeah, that's
so
a ton of money.
they put so much money. They first of all, they get so much money, so they have a lot to do with it. And then they put so much into the algorithms. And their whole thing is, I mean, if you boil it down, matching personalities. And their whole business is being good at that. And so you should be able to, I mean, the hypothesis is you should be able to, as Sam did, be able to match personalities and make relationships not just hooking up, but also like friendships. And that was the objective.
Yeah. So okay. So for the record, I'm on crutches, so I could not go out to like any big clubs or bars or anything. So I asked 3 girls who I messaged for a day or two over. I think 2 were on Hinge and 1 was on Tinder. And I asked them to grab coffee because I like didn't want to. And all 3 of them were like, "Oh no," and like would tell me whatever club or bar they were going to that night. And I couldn't go, and also I didn't really want to because it would have like cost a bunch of money and been a big kind of like effort.
Yeah.
And you're on crutches.
And I'm on crutches, which
It's hard
like
to break it down on the dance floor.
yeah, exactly. Just to murder a club on
I mean,
crutches.
if you did, you get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
But
That's true. But
It's like
so-
2 longer arms.
I don't know. I wish I had started this whole process earlier. Not that I didn't enjoy my time doing it. I will.
But you
I
wish
may
you had
keep
more
Hinge.
time to do it.
No, but I think it would have been. I think if I could have found someone who I had then had a very good in-person experience with, maybe met him for lunch or coffee or something like that, I think it very much would have changed my view on the entire thing because I still am yet to
reap the rewards.
well just meet someone very like meet someone who I would genuinely like if I just met them in person as well, if that makes sense.
Well, do you think when it comes to meeting someone that you really like, do you believe in the whole thing like there's fate, or do you think it's a numbers game and you meet enough people that you then slowly discern what you do value in a person and what you don't like in a person, and then you meet someone that meets the mold? Because if that's the case, then apps greatly expands your ability to basically
That's true.
get the data set you need to ID what you like and what you don't like, and then identify. Like recognize the person you really, really like when you see it.
Yeah, but I just think like I very much buy into the idea that like meeting new people, the best way to do it is to be introduced through friends you already have, because you know what they're like, you trust in their character and their personality, and so the people they'll be introducing to you are probably similar to them, and so you'd like them as well.
Isn't that also the whole thing with Hinge too? I mean, that's why people like Hinge, is because they are the friends of your friends. Like, that's how they find the people.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's called Hinge because, like a hinge, you've got 1 point of contact, 2 point of contact, 3 point of contact. The person you're meeting, you have a middle point of contact.
This is a Hinge.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great name, Hinge. Well done out there.
Maybe improve the marketing.
Okay, but
so you messed with 3 girls. and
yeah,
they
none
only
of them
won.
wanted to get coffee with me, and I couldn't go to a
Was
club.
it fun
so
talking to them? Did you get along? Or?
It was okay. I mean, it's kind of like a cold call, which is
But that's what
But-
meeting someone is, right?
yeah, but it's easier when you're introduced to them in person.
Okay,
in
but
the
you're not
same
always
context.
introduced to someone.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I think okay. So let's go back to the original hypothesis. Does current technology enhance or detract from human interaction? Sam, you said that you think the future.
I think it enhances it greatly. One, because it gives you a try before you buy window to be able to connect with people that you probably never would have connected with otherwise. And considering
That's
how
fair.
segregated society is today, I think that's a really positive thing.
You did an entire investigation to come to a conclusion. Where do you fall?
I still think I'm in the camp of anti-dating apps.
You think it detracts from human interaction?
Look, I just don't.
Well, do you or not?
I also feel guilty spending time on them, if I'm being honest, because I don't really plan on going on that many dates from them. So I just kind of feel weird going through the whole process. I am so weighed down by the stigma of them still. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm so against them and everything like that, but I felt very subjective at times. I don't know. They exceeded my expectations.
Sam,
though.
what
They
what
exceeded
would
my
your
expectations.
3 nights in DC have been like? What would they have gone like if you did not use Tinder to set up those 3 dates?
Oh, I probably would have sat in a bar or a cafe by myself and then not talked to anyone.
I get it. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
what's your
I've
defense?
said,
'Cause you're
look,
saying no.
that is the perfect. Say a year from now, I get a job in Nashville, insert random city in the United States, whatever. Knowing what these apps are like, I could very easily see myself using them as a way to make friends, know where like the hip places to go are, meet people who have lived here for a while and get to know the place. But in my current situation, in college where I'm surrounded by people my age, similar, like everything, demographics, I guess, I don't feel the need to expand my social horizons to that yet. I think that's my
Here's my
final
thing. So
conclusion.
my investigation process was to be the opposite of that.
Yeah.
The opposite of dating apps. So mine was human interaction. So I was to go out to all these different places and like talk to, like engage in conversation that I normally would not, like strangers and all this stuff.
Walk right up to people. That's what we kept saying. Walk right up to people.
Yeah.
My best experience from the week, and I have to say this is pretty tough to defend if you're on the dating app side, is I fell in love.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Details.
So one of the things was I tried to sign myself up for things I normally would not do. I'm in a friend group that's very close and I'm very comfortable in, and it's easy to stay in that group, right? How many?
Yeah.
We spend every night
Steer and
together.
I are friends, yes. Continue.
And thanks.
Frustratingly, he will never leave.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. And so I went to this club on campus, which had a similar interest of mine, and I went with a mutual friend, and I think that's a very important distinction. And he brought me to it, and he had to leave, and it was this sit-down dinner with 4 people I didn't know and my friend Asher. And Asher got to introduce me, and then I started, asking them all about questions. And the club is centered around basically like going out to restaurants and eating with each other and getting to know everyone. It's like
An amazing club.
it's an awesome club.
It did not exist when
It's
I went
right
to
up my
Georgetown.
alley.
Are you sure?
Yes.
And it was so much fun, and I got to know some people I really enjoyed talking to, like genuinely. But that is also because we got to know each other pretty on a personal level, and I compare it to going up to someone like a complete stranger. So last night, I got home. We had been out to a bunch of places, the dinner, the party, all this stuff, and then your place.
Yeah.
And so I'm walking home. It's like
What time?
heinous time, 2:30, 3.
Whatever.
Yeah, and
Far too late is the time.
I ran into
Didn't you have an important interview
JP's
today?
nemesis actually.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and so they left, and then I go up the stairs with like 2 people on the 5th floor, and we're walking up. And one of the things I found throughout my research, and I think this is really helpful for people, is that if you're going to do human interaction and you're trying to make new relationships, the best way to do it is to find something that makes you 2 different out of like other people. So for instance, and I heard this, and I thought it's so smart. So if you're from, DC, and you meet someone in New York and they say they're also from DC, you go, "Oh my God, I'm also from DC." Your voice goes way high up, and you both are like excited to have this common ground that you're different from everyone else. If you're in France and you're both even just from America, you can talk to each other in the same language. You're different from everyone else. You start on a different level than everyone else. So my thing was that the elevator was broken, and I hate my dorm. It's actually terrible, and there's so many things wrong with my dorm. The services are awful, and we're on the 4th and 5th floor, so we're walking all the way up, and I'm like, oh my God, I want my tuition back. Like, this is ridiculous. Just start up a conversation, and we actually talked for like 45 minutes.
Who is this person?
2 girls.
Okay.
Walking up the stairs with me, and we ended up staying in the hallway talking, and 45 minutes is a long time to talk to strangers. Things were going great.
It's a really long time to talk to strangers.
And we ended up saying, all right, I got their names, blah, blah, blah. And I said, nice to meet you. I'll see you later. If I had asked for their phone number or wanted to see them again, I think it would have been slightly weird. And if I asked, and I compare it to if I was at the dinner and I asked like one of the people at the dinner, "Oh, we should do something sometime," Or even if I got that phone number from our mutual point of contact, it would have been a lot less weird. I would have felt a lot more comfortable doing it. And so I think there's something to be said for, like, I don't know, like, if you're trying to make relationships that last, it's really hard to just do it with someone you have no point of reference with.
Yeah.
And that's what I
fair.
think dating apps are good for. And that's
They
sort of my
break the ice.
conclusion.
They're the best icebreaker.
But I also think I fell in love. The human interaction of like forcing yourself to go into somewhere that's uncomfortable.
What did you fall in love with?
Someone.
Oh, one of these girls.
Yeah. No. At the restaurant.
I don't even think he knows her name, so it's fine.
I do know her.
Oh, you know,
Well,
undisclosed.
Nameless.
Undisclosed.
Is there a reason you skipped over that? I was like hanging on
Yeah,
for
I
the
was
detail
waiting,
about
like, which of the two
who's the
girls?
person you fell in love with. I was like, did you fall in love with the experience or did you fall in love with the person?
No, I completely fell in love with this girl sitting across.
So you're
from
gonna
me.
see her again?
I mean, I'm also applying to that club, so it's kind
Maybe he'll see her if she's on Tinder.
of yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe I'll
Skipped over them.
So-
But seriously, there was so much of a difference being introduced to this group of people rather than like.
So
striking
what
up
I heard out of that
conversation.
is that like you put yourself out there and you enjoyed it, but at the same time you're in this awkward situation, which is that because you met them in an environment where dating wasn't the default expectation while you're both there, which is what you get with an app, you're now stuck in a limbo where you're like,
That's
I like
true.
this person, but I don't. It's awkward for me to ask for their number because there isn't the preconceived notion that we're both here for dating.
That's funny because so you're saying you start out as almost a preconceived notion that you'll be friends, and it's tough to get into the
dating zone,
like,
yeah.
can I get your phone number
Yeah.
to take you out or anything? And Jack had such an issue starting in the dating zone
Yeah.
and trying
time.
to be friends with someone.
Yeah.
You both did it wrong by the sounds of things. Like you both totally fucked it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it might work out for the
yeah,
best.
Thanks.
You
Thanks.
I
might
fell
meet
in
your
love,
wife.
so I'm
Yeah.
completely good.
You're good.
I'm happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Margaret,
Yes.
final comment. Tell me a little bit about whether you think dating apps enhance or detract from human interaction.
I think they're just another part of it. I don't think I don't think they make things better one way or the other. I think they add a nice level of security for women, but you know, there are always creepers out there, and I think that they're not going to take over dating in its entirety. Like, you will always be stuck on a metro train with somebody, or
Yeah,
you know,
a flight or whatever.
yeah, like there will always you will always meet someone outside of a dating app.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's just this is it's quick, but a yes no answer. Like would
I-
you
like,
say
I
that
don't think
would you say amongst your female friends that the idea of meeting someone in a natural way is still a more romantic idea than an app?
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. Yeah, Sam, do you have any closing comments for us?
Yeah, my closing comments is that I think that dating apps are a fantastic thing, and I think that there's still a little bit of stigma, but once that stigma disappears, it allows people from very diverse backgrounds to get an opportunity to sit down and talk and converse with people from very other different backgrounds in a way in which it usually wouldn't happen because the world's quite tribal, and considering how increasingly segregated different communities are in society, especially as a result of like social media algorithms, etc. I think it's a really positive thing. I think it encourages people from different backgrounds to get together and really get to know each other without judgment. I think it's positive.
Sam, have you ever used the League?
Yes.
What do you think of that? Because they have like clubs.
Yeah, I don't know.
They have stuff exactly like that.
Yeah, but no one uses. I don't use it for that. I don't know anyone who uses it for that shit. Everyone just uses it as a glorified Tinder.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just feel like it's
Yeah, it's just
Hockey.
Tinder, but you get 3 matches a day.
For
Yeah.
for anyone who doesn't know what the League is, because they are normal people who aren't in the upper echelons of dating apps, the League is, what is it? You have to apply to.
And there's
it's
a
a
waiting
rigorous
list?
application process.
I
They only take the
Like,
top.
I've been on it for a while,
Snootiest
so
thing
maybe I
ever.
got in early. Otherwise, I wouldn't. have
How
let
do
me
you
in.
justify spending so much time and like sweating it out over? And I don't know. I just can't.
They
I
take
think
the,
it-
they
I
take the
think-
king
okay,
of the
so-
crop.
The League, as I understand it, I think it is honestly just the manifestation of the start of the movie, The Social Network, where it's like you need a .harvard.edu email address to get an account. I think that's what the League is. Like, you need to come from a school with one of these email addresses, and that's how you get onto it. And I went to George Washington University, which apparently that email address qualifies. Yeah. Either that or I got in early.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Isn't there like there's a financial component and there's like you have to have like a certain education level, you have to have financial level, you have to have like a certain social level. There's like a whole
It stands
thing.
for everything Jack hates.
It's like the
Literally, that
snootiest thing in the
sounds-
world.
That's so wild.
I didn't know it was that like snooty. I just thought it was
There's
just
a
like
full-on
a
waiting
different
list
app.
to get onto that app.
Well, that's why I said I think I got on early. It's good. You know, the initial uptake is it rewards apparently.
But have you met anyone on that app?
I have.
How did it go?
Are you currently dating her?
No,
she at all
no, but
worthwhile?
she's a lovely girl. She's a lovely girl. That's all I'll say about that.
Oh, Jesus.
Rob,
Okay.
final comment.
Okay, no. Here, I just looked it up quickly. On the league website, basically, we have an internal system that shortlists groups of users based on a variety of factors: degree of education, institution, professional title or past professions, industry, number of referrals, and finally the number of users inside that fit their preferences. Which
That's
is
such a wank. Yeah. I might get off it now. That sucks.
You really should.
Yeah, I might get off
And
it.
I'm sorry, you just admitted to the world that you are on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving off the league.
I'm not convinced on either. I feel like, I don't know. What do you think, Jack?
My final point to all this is the biggest thing I learned is honestly, I'm glad I tried them. I'm glad I did it for a week because now I know I have the option for the rest of my life if there becomes a situation in which it would be beneficial for me to use them. I am comfortable with the layout. I honestly may keep Hinge,
That's
but
such a big change from where we started. You
Yeah.
actually said you would never download an app, a
Yeah.
dating app, ever in your life on your phone.
but my thing is I think I don't.
Why?
So
What
you
changed
talk
you?
about
Okay,
so you talk
what,
about how
what
you
made you change your opinion?
So you talk about how you use it like supplementary to your normal social life.
Yeah.
And that really, I consider it kind of like if I have a solid social life in the context of where I am, I would rather not use these. But if I don't, then they're a great option to get things started. What changed is, I mean, everyone has preconceived notions about things. I just knew them off the societal stereotype, which is basically that they're for hooking up and are very like subjective and just, I don't know. I feel like most people know the social stereotype about Tinder. But what changed is that, I mean, they're incredibly user friendly. Hinge especially matches you with people who are pretty interesting and like are attractive, fit all the what I would say categories of like someone I would love to go on a date with. I still just struggle with the stigma and would so much rather, put myself out there to meet someone in person at a party or at some sort of social gathering rather than using the app.
But what if you aren't meeting anyone in human interaction?
Yeah, then use the dating app, which is once again that is a big change. Admittedly, a big change, and I think they're worth using. I think if you've never used them before and you are struggling with your social situation, might as well give it a go. Why not? Which is a huge change from originally, and I will give you that. However, I do not think I will be keeping them on my phone. Maybe Hinge, but
And here's my hypothesis for the future, and maybe we can do a check-in episode later.
later.
That will change drastically as you get older. Because
I believe that.
you're
Outside of
constantly
college.
surrounded by people
Yeah.
now, but as you get older and you get a 9-to-5 job and you're working all day and your social interaction is basically workplace, like wake up, commute, coffee, workplace, gym, dinner, bed.
Yeah.
You'll find that people who are professionally employed use the dating apps not just for hooking up with randoms, but for actually like I
Yeah.
depend on this for building
Yeah,
my
yes.
social life around it.
Plus, like for me, since I went to Georgetown as well, once all of my Georgetown friends kind of left DC, and that had been like my main crew for 4 years at Georgetown plus another year and a half, 2 years. After they all left, you're like, oh yeah, I need
Yeah.
it comes back up.
And you got stuck hanging out with
Yeah,
weirdos
and then
like
you
me.
and I became friends. So like,
Oh my
clearly
God.
that worked.
Anything else, guys? Any concluding points, Rob?
I-
I want to hear.
Yeah, I guess I fall in the. I think they're both good. I think human interaction should be preferred because I agree with you that it's better. I don't know. You get a read on someone better in person. You said earlier in the week you could know if you would want to date someone within, a minute or two of meeting them, which, it's the first filter, and that matters a lot. It's about what they talk about, what they think is interesting, how they present themselves, stuff like that. I think they can be really good if you're trying to branch out. If you're going to the same parties, same girls are going to those parties, and you pretty much met everyone, and you're kind of in this same cycle that's repeating. Like, either you can do something new, like join a new club, which is the human way of doing it, or try and, branch out, meet a new group of friends that may be in a new club. And I honestly, I had such a good experience with that new club that I went to. I think whatever way you can introduce or inject yourself into a new circle that you get along with, do it.
Yeah,
I honestly
regardless
think that.
of
Yeah, I had such a good time, and if I had done that because I matched with someone on Tinder who was in that restaurant club, and she brought me to something, and I met those people, I'd be so happy.
Yeah.
That would make me so happy. And it turned out this time it was through a friend. I think honestly the moral of the story is, I honestly was so surprised to find that at Georgetown, which is a relatively small school where I feel like I know everyone and I've seen everyone's face at least 3 times, that I found this entire circle of people that I really got along well with and I really connected with. And they were completely new. So whatever you do to, connect with someone in a different level, I think I'm all for it. I'm all for that.
And just before you wrap us up, this is so fascinating because, like, when we sat down to have this conversation after you guys went off and did this investigation for a week, like, my entire internal hypothesis was, how was this week going to affect Jack in experiencing apps for the first time? And plot twist, it had the biggest impact on Rob.
Well, it's so interesting.
Who was the one who did the opposite, who was so pro apps and has gone the other way, and that's had the bigger impact.
I don't know if I was so pro apps, but yeah.
It's so interesting because it basically just pulled us both towards the middle.
Yeah.
Of do what you can to
Do
put
both.
yourself out there to expand your social horizons.
Okay, last thing. What would you tell someone that had the exact same mindset as you 1 week ago today?
I would say if you want something new, you want to put yourself out there a little bit, and you're struggling to do it in your current social environment, that is literally the quintessential example of what dating apps should be for. I still do not think they're necessarily for making really good friends, nor do I think it's particularly easy to find the love of your life on Tinder. However, if you want to go out and have a fun night somewhere at a bar or something, or go hang out with a new group of people, I think that's exactly what it's built for. So, yeah. I'm glad I did it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Margaret, for coming. This has been fun.
Happy to do it.
Okay, well, this is The Investigation signing off. Thank you so much.
If you have an opinion, interesting fact, topic you think we should investigate next, or even just want to talk to us, leave a comment. We're available on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and our website, solvemedia.org, and we'll respond to everything.